Hello everyone, and welcome to this newest edition of Colorwind Plays. I am Colorwind, and I will be playing Samurai Shodown for the Neo-Geo AES, or MVS. This is the MVS, this is the arcade version. I'm very excited about this. I've wanted some kind of program to help me record my videos better, and I finally got one. I got Bandicam. It's great. This wasn't even possible before. In case you're wondering, I'm running this off of MAME. Multi-arcade machine emulator. And Fraps before wouldn't even record this at all. It was not even possible. So I'm excited because now I have a whole other collection of games that I'll be able to record now, because Bandicam does not take as many resources away from my computer. So yay, let's get started. This is an arcade game, so I'm going to press the button that lets me put in a coin, and we'll get started. I left all the settings more or less the same. Since this is the arcade version, I want you to be able to see that, like the credit and level display on the bottom. However, I did change it to level 1, because this game is freaking hard, and I want to actually try to beat this game. So what you're looking at now is every SNK game started with a tutorial, as you can see. And that's how you knew what the buttons were controlling. Which is nice, because it's not like it came with a manual or something. They thought of everything. Alright. Gotta go with... Let's see. I've been picking him a lot recently. I've been kind of playing this game off and on for a while. That's why I want to record it. And I've been noticing that I've been drawn to him for some reason. Normally my characters are Homaru or Jianian. Sometimes Galford and Hanzo. But, yeah, I've been working with him mostly recently. As you can see, this is a 2D fighter. In the same vein as Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. But this is, I believe, the very first one-on-one fighting game with weapons as a focus as opposed to hand-to-hand combat. It's still to this day one of my favorite games ever. Yeah. And with good reason. This is arguably SNK's finest fighting game series, with the only other exception probably being... probably the King of Fighters series, which lasted a lot longer. And most people think the second game is the best, which we'll save that for when I record Samurai Shodown 2, which I will be doing because yay, I can do that now. But yeah, this is a fun game. It is a little bit slower than those, and they like to pause for dramatic moments like that. This game does have fatalities, although they're not like special moves that you know. They just, if you slice them in the right way, you get that. Squirting blood, falls, and there you go. There's also a fatality where you cut them in half. You slice them in half and you see them, the pieces fall apart, and they just kind of fade away, their body, but their sword is left stuck in the ground. Or whatever type of weapon that they have, because they're not all technically swords. The other thing about this game is this took place in ancient times, as opposed to, say, current day setting, which many fighting games at the time were like that. The only close one to that was Art of Fighting, the first one, which actually took place in the 70s, whereas the game came out in the 90s. So not quite the same thing, but technically not modern day. There we go. I wanted to throw him. Every character, just like any other fighting game, has special moves. They're all different. This guy has 2 swords, so he has moves pertaining to that. He also tends to be a little easier to lose balance with because he attacks with both swords as opposed to just one. So his moves tend to take longer. I wouldn't call him a power character though. He is very much a stereotypical fireball, dragon punch kind of character. Yeah, there's the clash, And if you lose or you win, you lose your weapon. But in that case, we both lost. And he's screwed because I already got my weapon. He has to get past me. And he's not going to. Ah, damn. Tem. That's his name, Tem. Ah, crap. Oddly enough, sometimes they get stronger without the weapons. Like, they just fight better. That's because even if they block, they take damage because you can't really block a sword slice. But there it is, and it's over. It was a lot of fun. I have very, very fond memories of this game. I might also like this game more than the second one. I'll just tell you that right now. I like this game more than the second one. But that might be just because I had more time with it. I never played Samurai Shodown 2 in the arcade. It was never around. They only had the first one. Clear your thoughts, and maybe you will win. Not. Some of the translation is dodgy. And this guy is very interesting. He never faces you per se, and he always keeps his weapon sheathed, I think is the word. Only when he attacks does he pull it out of its handle. Whatever it's called. Makes him an interesting character to fight against. And he is kicking my butt. Got him. That's close. Nicely placed slice. No, man. This game was released on a lot of platforms. It was released on the Sega Genesis, which I personally like. It feels good on the Sega Genesis controller. The drawback to that game, though, is that it's actually missing a character. It's missing the character Earthquake. So instead of the 12 characters that the game normally has, it only has 11. But I think the final boss, Amamuska, is playable in that version. Whereas in the arcade version, to my knowledge, he is not. There's also a version on the Super Nintendo. That one is okay, and it has Earthquake, which will probably make a lot of people like that game more, at least that version. But all the characters are small. Like when I go out here, the character models like that, that's always their size. The camera never zooms in and out. So that makes me like it less. Also, the way that the controls are on the Super Nintendo is the light, medium punches, or rather slices and kicks are on the face buttons, and then you have to hold down either the left or right shoulder button and then press the slash or kick button to do the strong version of that. Whereas on the Genesis version, it's just its own button. I have no idea why they did that. You could have easily just put the hard slashes and kicks on the shoulder buttons, but they chose not to do that. I don't know why. Okay, here, you gotta be quick. I've never been able to do this consistently, just to be fair. Crap. You also have to be right next to it, otherwise you just won't count. It's a bummer. Whew, I managed to do it. That's a difficult minigame. You do that every few rounds, if I remember correctly. And there's the final boss, Amamuska. The character gets more detailed as the series went on. It's a very interesting character. I like the style. Going into Vasalis in France. Going back to what I was saying before, there were more versions other than the Genesis and Super Nintendo version. There's also a version for the Sega CD. I have not played that version, but from what I understand, it's essentially the exact same as the Genesis version, even with, I think, Earthquake missing. And the only difference is the sound is better because they're using the Sega CD abilities to do real live music to make the game sound better. However, that game has load times. So because of that, my guess is that just because the sound is better doesn't really make that a better version, and so it kind of makes that version kind of swan. Whoa! Quick note: you may have noticed back there that someone run by and threw that bomb there. That dude runs by throughout the course of the match and will throw different things. Sometimes he'll throw coins, which increase your points, your score. And sometimes he'll throw bombs, which will hurt you. And sometimes he'll throw, well, turkeys. Kind of like in Castlevania on the walls. And that will actually increase your health. So you can actually get some life back in this game. See, there he is. He threw a coin, and I got 800 points for that. Interesting part of the game. I don't think other fighting games do that. And for good reason, because the kind of idea of having a points system doesn't really make sense anymore. We'll cut her in half. No points for me. Her sword is just stuck in the ground there. That's all that's left of her. Boring fights. Uh-oh, what's going on? Who are you? Whoa, neon dude. Call me Amamuska. Amakuska. The tough? You are the master swordsman. Join me in the dark eye. Fine proposal, but alas, I must pass. Then die, you crazy funster. What is a funster? Have at you, smelly. The translation in this is horrible. You crazy funster.